Can get rolling.
All right, well, I'll just do this then. Okay. All right, good. Well, one second. There, Michael. We've got the memo too. Blue shirts.
Good morning.
Okay, I got this. I can come out of this one. Sorry, I just connecting here. Be here.
Good morning, guys. Gals.
Morning, Mr. Ray.
Good morning, Lieutenant Dan.
Oh, good morning. I was wondering how long it would take somebody to notice that.
Hey, I put it in the chat first.
Oh, I didn't see yet. That's,
Ken and
Sure,
Dan.
say that now.
well, Jane beat you to it.
So good. You ready, Dan?
I'm ready. We're good.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. It is August 11, and we have a couple of birthdays coming up as well this coming week. Linda Fowle and Linda Howard for one. She's on the call. So good morning, everybody. The slaughterhouse of failure is not in our destiny. Got to remember that. You know, we talk about the repetition of something that suddenly becomes ingrained in us. So we repeat that every Friday, just to kind of like, just for good measure. So today we're going to continue with our what not to do, which is, you know, what we've been talking about for a while, how to stay poor forever. And one of them was increase your income, increase your expenses even more. That's the best way to stay dissatisfied with what you got, because somebody's always going to have more than you. Somebody's always going to do something higher, better, longer, faster, whatever than you. And if we live in that state of trying to, you know, increase our income and increase whatever our expenses are without having savings or without having a good budget and being disciplined about everything, then we'll always be dissatisfied and unsettled and stressed.
Yeah. Before we get started today, I just want to implore everybody to keep the folks in Maui in your thoughts and your prayers as we move through the weekend with these wildfires. Really heartbreaking situation over there. You know, if you've seen pictures of it, I mean, the whole island is just devastated. So keep them in your prayers this weekend and in your thoughts. But yeah, I mean, you know, you're never going to get rich if your expenses are more than what you make. And, you know, I had a personal experience with this. I had a brother-in-law that was an orthopedic surgeon. And one of my other brothers asked him, maybe when he was like in his early 60s, they said, how much longer do you think you're going to work? And he said, I'm going to have to work forever. I've got too many bills to pay. You know, and this is a guy that was making, you know, millions of dollars, but you know, his expenses were more than that. And I believe he's maybe in his late 60s, early 70s now, and he's still working every day, you know, 40, 60 hours a week. And you know, we need to decide in our life what are those things that make us happier or allow us to be happy. And for me, having more expenses, having more things, having more responsibilities than what I want are things that lead to unhappiness for me. You know, I don't need a big house. I don't need a super expensive car. I just need a car that's going to get me from A to B. I don't want any debt. Everything's paid for. I don't like having loans on things where I'm paying interest. I can utilize that money to make me money in the form of investments or real estate or, you know, all of these different things. So, you know, I spend all of my money making money. I don't like to have debts. I don't like to have expenses. I don't like to have things that I don't utilize on a daily basis. So you need to kind of have that mindset. You know, people, you know, there's a kind of a joke that goes around, why do rich people have so much money? Because they don't spend it. You know, they try to keep as much of it as they possibly can. And you know, if that's what makes them happy, that's what makes them happy. Do what makes you happy. But I think we all have to realize at the end of the day that experiences are things that are going to that we're going to remember. experiences are things that allow us to interact with other people and other beings and other things on this planet. And ultimately, those things are going to be the things that make you happy. Stuff does not make you happy. When you get a brand new car, it's fun until you get the first scratch on it, or one of the kids spills the first drink in it, and then it's not fun anymore because it doesn't. The new carness is gone, right? So it's only making you happy until it doesn't make you happy anymore. It might make you happy for a week or 2 weeks, but at the end of that, it just becomes a liability. So that's the way I kind of look at things. That's the way people that I know that have done really well for themselves kind of think of things. And that's kind of my mindset.
You know, it all comes down to knowing what you want, because how much is enough? When you've got something, you know, it's even like food. Whatever it is that we do, we always should know what it is that we need, what it is we want, and what is just stuff that is subconsciously more than we're trying to get. So, you know, if we go in to look at this and say, well, I need to have a bigger house. Okay, maybe you got more kids, but you need to have a third house, really? You need to have whatever. Think about those needs, because that is what propels us to never be satisfied and to always be on that treadmill. If we know what we want and we've got what we've got, we've got what we want, then at least we should be satisfied. I don't say be complacent, but at least be satisfied with what we have, when we have it, and how we've got it, without trying to break our necks and get something just because somebody else has it. So that you know, is the opposite in some ways of the next thing, which is afraid of making decisions. Stay undecided. That's another big thing that keeps us poor forever. Paralysis by analysis. You got to know everything about everything before you start. No, you don't. The work will train. You don't have to train to work. The work will train you. And it's just jumping in there, having the courage to do something, having the courage to get in there and do it. You don't have to know everything. By all means, get an idea of what things are and how they work, of course. But don't go in there and try and know everything. Not necessary. You learn by doing. And the more mistakes you make, the better it is. Because you will learn from that. You pick yourself up from that. You learn from your mistakes. Somebody who's never failed, you know, that's not somebody that I would like to work with, because, you know, he or she's been very cautious and done things that have never led to making mistakes. And that's not the way to progress. The way to progress and grow emotionally and grow as a person is to suffer from some mistakes, but suffer from those by learning.
Yeah, I want to go back to that other point just quickly, and I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this in the past, but I went to a service for one of my cousins a couple of months ago, and her husband, in her eulogy, said that one of the things that he loved most about her was that she never wished for more than what she had. And that really stuck with me. And it will probably stick with me for the rest of my life, because that's kind of my mantra. You know, I don't wish for anything that I already, you know, that I don't already have, because I don't need it. I have everything that I need. I have everything that makes me happy. I don't, you know, any other thing is just a want. It's not a need. But to go back to your point, Lawrence, you know, if you're working with somebody who's never failed, I think one of the detriments to that individual is we don't know how they're going to react when they do fail. Are they just going to back up shop and say, I'm done, move on to the next thing? Or do they have the fortitude to move forward? And, you know, we run into people every day, if we're talking about this business, who say, oh yeah, I love this. This is great. You know, I can do this. And then you talk to them the next day and that excitement starts to wane. And, you know, that's not indecision. You know, these are people that are incapable of making a decision to go after what they want in life, you know, because they're always in the back of their mind thinking about the what ifs. What if I fail? What are people going to think of me? What if I don't succeed in this? You know, how are people going to react? What if I do succeed in this? Am I going to lose friends? You know, they've always got that angel and the devil on one side of their shoulder, you know, and they're more often than not, people are listening to the wrong person, right? They're listening to people in their lives who haven't taken chances. They're looking for, you know, listening to people who haven't failed. They're listening to people who have never been an entrepreneur. They're listening to people who job hop that are always looking to find where the grass is greener. And so that indecision doesn't just come from within themselves. That indecision is happening because of the people that they surround themselves with as well. You know, you need to surround yourselves with people who want to see you grow, who want to see you succeed, who are there for you to pick you up when you fail, who are family, you know, that you can think of as family. And I think of everybody on this call as family, as somebody who is an entrepreneur, as somebody who has the right mindset to succeed, as someone who, you know, you guys are showing up every Friday to expand your mindset, to think about your mindset, to get positive feedback, to learn from others on this call. You know, that's what it takes to succeed. You know, you're not going to succeed by surrounding yourself with people who don't care if you succeed or fail. Everybody in this call wants to see you succeed. And so, you know, people on this call that you've all made a decision, right? You've made the decision to better yourselves, personal growth, exchange a stagnant mindset or a fixed mindset for a growth mindset. And that's what we're here to do every Friday. We're here to expand on your beliefs. We're here to expand on your mindset. We're here to expand on your ability to succeed and withstand failure, because you're going to see failure in this business. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And it's going to happen. And so we need to stay focused on a positive growth mindset. And we need to do it on a daily basis if we're going to succeed.
Yeah, you know, we talk about birds of a feather flock together, and there's a reason for that. The losers are usually surrounded by losers, and the winners are usually surrounded by winners. You know, we've talked about the woe is me society, people who fail and they all cluster together and they all exchange how bad things are. Whereas people who are living in the abundance are people who are exchanging stories about how fabulous things are going, despite the hiccups and the frictions that one has. So the idea is also stay away from the theorists. People have theories of everything. You ask somebody an opinion, it's like a belly button. Everybody's got one. And some of them are just theories. They're just something that they think about, but they have never done it, never really got involved. So those are people we got to stay away from. Nathan Ricks had 3 things that he thought about when he started this business. I'm going to try. One of them was, I think he said, I wanted to make $1 million. I think that was one of them. One of them was stay away from negative people. Don't let them into your lives. That was one of the big ones. Keep all the negative people away from you, because they are the theorists. They're people who've never really done anything, and they're people who wallow in self-pity. And we are surrounded by a lot of those people because that's how the world is. And therefore, surround yourself with people that have something, as Dan said as well, people that care for you. But obviously, if they care for you, you're caring. If you're a caring person, people will care, well, they'll notice. That's as simple as that. People notice if you have empathy, if you're caring. For example, Dan just opened up with thinking about Hawaii. You know, there we are. That's empathy. That's starting the morning with empathy and thinking about, oh, there's so many people that have something that we don't have. I wonder how we can help them. I wonder what we can do. Can we do something? And this is empathy. And this is where we start our morning as well. You start, as we've always said, give yourself a high five, feel good about yourself, know that you've got everything at your fingertips, but have empathy and care. And then people care too.
Yeah, then the next one is do what everyone else is doing and expect to get something different. A lot of people just like Lauren said, birds of a feather flock together, right? How many people do you know that put going out and partying or going out and doing whatever it is they enjoy doing above trying to be successful or running their business the way they should, or and then they blame it on things, extraneous things that have nothing to do with anything else other than their own activities. For me, this all boils down to sacrifice. What are you willing to sacrifice to be successful and get what you want in life? Are you willing to sacrifice going to a birthday party you were invited to because you have some work to get done? Are you willing to sacrifice, spending time with your family potentially, or whatever it may be? To me, this all boils down to sacrifice. You have to sacrifice one thing to get the other. And without sacrifice, that's just not going to happen. You have to sacrifice a lot of different things. For me in medical device, I sacrificed 20 years to be successful. I wanted to be known as an expert in my field. I wanted to be known as somebody who was going to show up no matter what time of the day or night it was, and that's how I built my business. Because if I wasn't available, they were going to find the next person that was available. And I wanted to make sure I was the first person on that list that they called if they needed something. And that's how I built my business. Customer service. Everything boils down to me for customer service. If we bring somebody into this business, they're a customer of ours. Even though they're a team member, they're a customer. If we bring a physician on that's running the scanner program in their practice, they're our customer. And then their customers are our customer. And so we need to do everything we can to make sure that they have a good experience. And if that means sacrificing one thing for another, that's what I'm going to do within reason. So I think that's very important, to think about who you're following. Are you following somebody who's been successful in the past or in the present? Or are you following somebody that's never been successful in anything that they've done, but they're just a really good friend and a really good person? And that's fine, because there's a takeaway from that. You can learn to be a better person. You can learn to have more gratitude. But when you're talking about business, which is what we're talking about, today in mindset, your mindset needs to be to surround yourself with good books that feed your mind, with podcasts that feed your mind, with television that feeds your mind, whatever it may be. There's a great documentary on Netflix right now. I think it's called Poisoned. For those of you who haven't seen it, but it's all about the food industry and how messed up it is. So take a look at that. But be careful who you're comparing yourself to and who you're following.
Yeah, and also the thing is, when the reason people follow and become a bit like sheep is because they're afraid of showing who they are. They're afraid to make an opinion, to have an opinion. They're afraid to say something, because what will the others think? And this is where we've got to have the confidence in ourselves to be able to stand up and say what we think. It may not be popular. How many times have we been to a meeting or an event where 50 people are all in agreement, and then one guy at the back will stand up and he will say, "Excuse me, but I believe this, whatever." And by the end of the event, half the people are in agreement with him, or probably more of them, because he's had the courage of his convictions to stand up for what he believes. And I think this is also part of your personality, part of your mindset, mind flow, part of who we are. We can't just go along with the flow and expect everything to change for us if that's the flow. We've got to go against the flow. We've got to go against the current. We've got to swim like the salmon do. They've got to swim against the current. There's a mission there. They got to lay their eggs up there wherever they came from. So we've got to look at things, look into things, not at things. And so I think what Dan said as well is also this thing about you got to have the consistency and the grit and the perseverance to follow through on who you are and what you're doing. It's not just doing it for a little while. And the just on to mention something I thought about recently was in terms of what we're doing, it's a little disjointed from this, but people say, well, I want to be a salesman. I want to do sales. Well, we are, I think, sales, of course, but a wellness service industry. That's what I'm liking to kind of think of myself as part of a wellness service industry. We're serving people, and then we're serving them in the wellness industry. Just wanted to add that little thing because it's something that I've thought about now.
Yeah, and to expand on that, Lawrence, we're really consultants. We're consulting with them on a product and a service that they can incorporate into their practice to drive ancillary revenue. We're consultant to folks that we talk to in our daily lives about the scanner and the supplements because they don't know what a good supplement is, right? So we're just consulting with them. We're educating them on a high quality product that we know works, and we can prove that with the scanner. So we're not salespeople. We're consultants, or we're wellness service industry people, as Lawrence said. But one of the things along the lines with do what everyone else is doing and expect to get something different, and comparing yourself to people poorer than yourself to feel better, is doing things to make everyone else happy. And it comes down to the old adage about if a plane's going down, you need to put the oxygen mask on you first so that you can take care of other people. And if you're constantly, and some people, their love language is taking care of other people and making other people feel happy or be happy. But if a lot of people have a false happiness facade on because they're not happy, but because they spend all their time trying to make other people happy. And that's great, but you need to make sure that you're happy first and foremost. And when you're happy, you're going to do some of these things that we've been talking to over the last couple of weeks autonomously. It's just going to happen because you have a different attitude, right? You have that happiness attitude. You wake up happy in the morning, you're happy all day long, you're happy in the evening before you go to bed. I'm happy every single moment of the day. It doesn't matter what's going on. I'm happy. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy with what I've done in my life. If I died today, I would have no regrets. And that's how I live my life. I live every day as happy as I can possibly be, helping other people, showing gratitude to those who have helped me, and doing whatever I can to help other people grow and succeed in whatever it is that they want to do. How can I be a part of that? How can I help you? How can I help foster that? Can I coach you? What do I need to do to make things better for you?
You talk about that where we're trying to make people happy. I gave a talk a little while ago to a whole lot of nurses, and I asked that question. I said, who here is happy? And I looked around and they looked at each other and they were trying to say, what do you mean by happiness? I said, there's a difference between feeling like that you fulfilled a role, but are you happy? Because from what I see here, everybody that we scanned, most of the nurses that I had scanned were in the orange or even in the red. I said, are you taking care of yourselves? Because your empathy is so big. You're making everybody else happy. You're helping everybody else, but are you happy with who you are? Are you taking care of your kids? You said, Dan, of the oxygen on the flight. The nurses are people that work like crazy. They're generally doing a lot of the doctor's work as well. And we say, well, are you happy? So when we talk about, doing something that's trying to help everybody else, we've also got to put it into measure of a balance of what we're doing for everybody else. But don't forget to look after yourself, because your psyche, your morale, your enthusiasm, your happiness, if you like, will rub off on other people. But you've got to feel satisfied and happy and balanced in your life. Because otherwise we're trying to help everybody else and that we think we're doing a great job, but we're not happy. So there's something to look at in there. Um,
Well, it's 9:57, Lawrence. Do you want to,
yeah, does anybody have any
Comments?
questions you want to add? Jan, do you?
I don't have anything else.
I'm always happy to see you too.
Well, I can see your
Thank you,
hand.
Dan.
You're welcome. I
Oh,
just
you
got
see my
off-
halo?
Yeah. I just got off a call with Dee Dee prior to this meeting. Dee Dee's not on my team, but she asked if I'd do a call with a medical device sales rep, and I was happy to do that. So,
And I love you for that. Thank you so much. So I'm
welcome.
going to send your contact information. I love that. Thank you.
absolutely. All right.
And that makes too.
What's that, Jim?
I said, and that makes me happy too.
There you go.
Same group.
There
I
you
just
go.
really appreciate you, Dan and Lawrence, not only being good leaders, but just mindful and very intentional leaders. You know, Dan, you opened the call with, keep the Maui Ohanas in our, thoughts and our prayers and stuff. That's what separates us from, people, good people, and just real people. So I really appreciate that. That's why I surround myself with, Dan and Lawrence's, you know what I mean? So I really do appreciate you guys that not only, we're on our leadership call, but it's humanity. It's that empathy. And so I keep coming back because you guys are incredible. You guys really elevate my life. So thank you so much.
Very sweet of you. Thank you.
Yeah, I just think that so many people get in this business because they have a caring heart and they really want to help others. But what you guys are saying is so important because in this environment, it is so easy to want things more than the people that you're trying to help. It's so easy to run into people who want to really take things from you. I don't want to sound too negative, but you have to put on your own mask first. You really have to know what you want. Mark, Lawrence, you say this all the time. What do you want? And a lot of us need to put more thought into that because once you realize strongly what you want and you reinforce it in your mind, then you're going to be more dedicated to going after it. You'll be less likely to just overgive to someone who all they want to do is take. And so yeah, I think that's a very important part of your message today is don't look at that as selfish. Honestly, the people who do this well end up giving to more people longer.
My goal in medical device sales was to it was a means to an end for me. I didn't love it. I mean, my first 5 years, I loved it. After that, the last, 20 years, I didn't love it, but I looked at it as a means to an end. I'd always set a goal that I wanted to be able to retire when I was 45, and it wasn't retire at 45 to not do anything. It was retire at 45 so I could help people and spend more time helping others, through charity, through, calls like this. How can we work together to be more successful? Because if we're working against each other, it's going to be a lot harder for us to be successful. But when we work together to elevate each other, more is possible. And so we can be better together. And that was kind of always my goal. I was willing to sacrifice 15 or 20 years of something that I didn't love as a means to an end. And, that's part of the problem in today's society, I think, especially with these younger kids, is they're all jumping up, from job to job, hoping that the grass is greener on the other side, when all they need to do is sit down and grind, set their goals, do what they need to do to reach their goals, sacrifice some things to get where they want to be. I was reading an article the other day about, the 20s are the best time to sacrifice. You've got more time, you've got more energy, you've got all these things. And a lot of these kids waste that time. Some of the best years of their life, they waste partying and drinking and, doing all of these things that, everybody thinks you should be doing in your 20s. For me, my 20s were about setting up the rest of my life financially so that I didn't have to worry about those things when I was older, and that I could spend my time doing the things that I want to do, which is helping other people. Every Wednesday and a couple of days during the week, I work with a group called Cocoa Packs, and they provide meals to children in the area that they can't afford to feed their children. And we get pallets of food from all the local restaurants and grocery stores. And, people, it's a drive-through. So people just drive through, they tell us how many kids they have, and we set them up with, fruits, vegetables, protein, milk, eggs, all of those things for the week for their kids. And it's super gratifying because they appreciate it so much. And we have kids, last 2 weeks ago, I took like 4 or 5 kids from the neighborhood to do it. And now they want to do it every week. They're like, that was amazing. I want to do it every Wednesday. I'm going to go with you. So I've got this little band of kids that I'm teaching to give back and, do things for others. And it's super gratifying.
So
You're expressing the book Halftime, which is going from success to significance. And, God bless you, you were able to reach that success at a young age. And that allows you to convey stories like these about how you are really serving in a more significance-oriented way. The one thing I really have taken knowledge of, or at least reflected on, is when I look at the different chapters in my life in corporate America, and even going through college and everything, I found in the chapters where I was the happiest were the chapters when I was pursuing what I wanted, and I became an influencer of others to help me get where I needed to be. And when I look at chapters where I allowed someone else to do that to me, those chapters didn't really turn out that well. And so if someone wants to accomplish being able to reach that level of, of life success so you can go to significance, always make sure you're an influencer in every chapter of your life, getting what you want, and believe that what you want is for the goodness of man too. You're in concert with that. There's nothing wrong with going after what you want.
in June, thank you, Jim. In June, I was asked to talk to the graduates from university here at the college over here in Nova. They had just graduated, and they asked me to come and give a talk about, I guess, life. And I said to the students there that had graduated, I said, okay, guys, you see that blank wall over there? Completely white, blank wall, nothing in it. That's your future. Put in that blank wall what it is that you want. Identify what is your passion. If you can't put what you want, put what you don't want. But you've got to identify from an early age. Dan said something huge. He said this thing about was a means to an end. And I think most people at some stage work as a means to an end. Very few people jump into something because they have the absolute passion to do it, because it doesn't always manage to produce the financial results we need, which is what we need for an immediate gratification, not gratification, we need for immediate necessities. But I think it's essential that we understand, or that right now, most of us have already been in our professional lives and whatever we're doing. But it's important that we know what we want, and we know what drives us. Because if you do whatever you are passionate about, you'll probably be successful in it. Whereas if we do something we have to do, we're looking forward to Friday instead of Monday. We're wishing our lives away. That's terrible when we wish our lives away. And it's important that we love what we're doing. So this for me was an experience of being able to have another life. I've always loved what I've done because but this is something that is even more fulfilling.
Lawrence, we took our daughter to a doctor, and this doctor was really more functional medicine, but she was an MD. And she told us, as part of her advice, she said, always help your children learn what it is they're passionate about so that they pursue that in life. They need to do the work in the area of their passion. She said, if they will do that, it won't feel like work. And she said, myself, I've never worked a day in my life. And the doctor was 88 at the time, still working full time. She worked up until she was 104 and lived to 114.
Jeez.
So she had a lot of great wisdom.
100%. Love it.
I think something that's important to note, and Jim kind of talked about this, is that when you help others, that's the primary benefit, right? When you're doing things to help others, when you have a servant leadership attitude, that's the primary benefit. The secondary benefit is all the great things that happen to you because you have that attitude of helping others first. And there's a lot of secondary benefits that just come your way, regardless of whether you're looking for them or not. You know, it could be a relationship that helps you. It could be financial, a financial reward, whatever it may be. But what I've found over the last 5 years is that the more I help people, the more secondary benefits there are.
And surprises. Sometimes out of the blue, somebody you don't even know comes to do something for you that is significant, and you don't even know the person. And this is what goes around comes around. When you've done the same thing in your life and you've helped people, or you've done something that's constructive, or you've been able to guide somebody or help somebody, and then out of the blue, somebody's helping you. Somebody, it just, what goes around comes around.
Karma.
Karma. All right, everybody. Anybody else have some last words of wisdom before we wrap it up for the weekend? If not, keep Maui in your thoughts and prayers this weekend. Everybody do something to help others this weekend, and we'll see everybody next Friday.
Hey, Dan,
Yes, sir.
a family member of Carol's has lived in Lahaina and has lost her home, her car, and her 2 charter boats. They used to charter for whale watching. They had 2 catamarans, and they've lost it all. Everything just got burnt. And she's put up a GoFundMe page so that she can help her crew. She had 10 employees. She's done it not for herself, but for her crew. And that's a noble thing.
You put it on
Absolutely.
the chat? You put the GoFundMe.
Yeah, if you put it, do you have the link, Martin? Put it in the chat.
I do. Just a minute. Let me just pull that up. Just a moment. Just a moment if I can. Yeah, here we go.
On the chat, yeah, thank you.
There it is.
All right, everybody. That's in the GoFundMe link is in the chat. Go ahead and hit on that so it opens up in your browser. And if you're able to give, please think about doing so. It's a small thing, but can make a huge impact in other people's lives.
Indeed, it's just like our business. It's many hands doing a little.
Yep, absolutely.
So thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Martin. Everybody.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
All right, take care, everybody.
Thanks for the calls, guys.
Thank
Have
you.
a great weekend.
Guys, thank you. Blessings. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Lawrence. You too.